Sisters and brothers, this account from St. John about the incidents of Lazarus is well known to us. It is a little longish account. Some sections have been omitted for today's gospel reading. Lazarus, my dear sisters and brothers, all of us know was very dear to Jesus. I'm sure all of us have some dear person in our life, somebody whom we deeply care about. It could be a friend, an acquaintance, a parent, a child, a spouse. And then we know that when this person is not doing well in life, either because of a relationship or because of health or for any other reason, we feel the need to rush, to go there immediately and to assist this person. We do not delay. We want to hurry up. That's all what relationships about. Constantly we are people who are relating. It is told, my dear sisters and brothers, in the year of 1942 or so, we are aware that that was the time of the Second World War. And during the Second World War, one of the powerhouses was Germany. And Hitler came to become a very powerful ruler, a dictator of all sorts. And in his mind, he only thought of one thing: how to become a powerful man who could destroy someone who's supposedly another strong powerhouse. And that were the Jews, the Israelites, the same people who are mentioned in all the three readings of today. The Jews in the Old Testament, in the prophet Ezekiel's time, we are told how they were in exile. They were loved by God. But unfortunately, Israel on its way lost its understanding and its relationship with God. They lost favor with God because of the way they lived their life. And yet God in His mercy, in the first reading, tells us how that He will open up the graves of these people, meaning to say He will give them a new lease of life. That God, even in death, wants to encounter people. He wants to show them His concern is beyond this world. And so Hitler, my dear friends, looks up at these people, the people called the Jews, and he thinks of annihilating them, exterminating, killing them. It is estimated that about 6 million Jews were killed by Hitler, simply because he thought that they were a superior race. He wanted to become much more superior to them, powerful than him. And in this, my dear sisters and brothers, one of them, there were many such people who died, and there were few who survived. And one of those who survived was this man called Viktor Frankl. He was a Jew, he was a psychologist and also a psychotherapist. And he was very observant with people's behavior and reaction to what they had to endure in those concentration camps. He had his wife also taken in the concentration camp. And they were separated. Women were taken to one section, men to another section. The old and the children who were of no use were killed. Only those who were able-bodied were taken in to work. And Viktor Frankl says that the minute they entered into this concentration camp, they lost their identity. They did not have a name. They were given a number. Each prisoner was given a number, sometimes even imprinted on their hands, on their bodies, on their shoulders sometimes. There was a mark put about their number. They had no name. They lost their identity. That means to say, the person that I am, the name that I am being known by, my trade, my profession, I was stripped of it. They were shaved from their hair. Everything was taken out from their head so that they won't have any illnesses because of lice, men and women. They were disfigured. They didn't look like men or women. They all looked the same. And thirdly, they were made to work in very inhuman condition. And if at all they were found of no use, they were killed, gassed or shot. So actually what Viktor Frankl said, that people lost purpose of their very existence. They found no reason to live. Some of them wanted to fight back. Some did. Some survived. And Viktor Frankl, who was a great observer because of his profession, says that when he survived, he came out, he was still hoping to see his wife. Each day he thought that his wife was alive. And that, he says, gave him the requirement, the need to go on in life. Otherwise, he too possibly would have lost hope, he says. But when he comes out, he notices that those who survived, each one of them, depending on the level of trauma they had, or the capacity to, to feel that trauma, they were able to make something out of life, or they went back into a shell. Somewhere they were cocooned into their lives. And maybe if you want to use another word, they got entombed. They got very cynical. They became very pessimistic. They found life had no meaning. And so therefore, Viktor Frankl began a new way of study, a new way of doing therapy. And he wrote this book called Man's Search for Meaning. How can man search for meaning? Because of his existence. All of us, my dear friends, don't have to grapple finding meaning in life. We have to seek it. But how do we search for this meaning? Today's gospel invites us into this relationship of finding meaning of our existence. You see, in the Gospel of St. John, he has 7 miracles. 3 of them being what they call nature miracles. The first was at Cana. Jesus turns water into wine. The second is in chapter 6. Jesus turns simple few bread and fish into many more bread and fish for people to eat, a nature miracle. And the third one is when he walks on water. 3 nature miracles. And then you have the healing miracles, 4 of them. There's an official son, there's a crippled man, there's a man who's born blind last Sunday, and today is the 7th and the final miracle in the Gospel of St. John. The man who's dead is brought back to life. Many elements are there. You can preach for the whole week on this gospel. But we can take out a few things that may help us for our own reflection. Each one can take a few points. One of them being, my dear sisters and brothers, is a question that many authors have asked, many people who study the Bible have asked. When, as I said at the beginning, when you know that somebody is very dear to you, is sick, has a problem, you want to rush. But when Jesus learns that his friend, a dear close friend, is very ill, he does not go. He stays back 2 days. It's very intriguing. Why does Jesus stay back? In fact, he is asked, the man who gave sight to the blind, could not he have come earlier and given some healing to his friend who was sick? But there is a deliberate reason because of which Jesus delays his going. And in fact, when the 2 sisters meet him and Jesus says, let me go to the tomb, roll away the stone. One of the sisters says, it's been 4 days. There will be a stench, dirty smell, skin protruding, and therefore it will be smelling. They say, don't open. That means to say, Jesus deliberately goes very late to meet the family. And sometimes we can relate with this whole delay of Jesus in reaching out to this family. A delay when sometimes you and I are also questioning God. That I've been praying for so long for this intention. I've been asking God to reach out to me. I've been making my prayers, my penances, my acts of charity. And where is God in all of that? Why does God not answer me? And today's gospel may be an answer to that. That God has his own time. That sometimes it needs also death. Death not just the physical, but the death in which we think about certain things of life, certain approach to life, certain things that we want. We must just let it go. God knows what is good. He takes his time. But what emerges at the end is more crucial, my dear friends. That Jesus raises Lazarus back to life. It's not that Lazarus does not die. He dies later. But the purpose of raising Lazarus to life was to already show them, to help them, that very soon he will die. He was on the road to Jerusalem. He takes a detour, goes to Bethany to meet these friends of his. That Jesus knows going to Jerusalem would be surely his moment of suffering, moment possibly of his death. Yet he is on that way. He wants to help people later, his apostles, his disciples, and you and me. That even though he has to suffer, he deliberately goes towards his suffering, that it will not end with death and suffering, but there will be the resurrection. That is that hope. And that is what I began with at Mass, that we must be people of hope. Never give up. That even though we may see there's a delay in the manner in which God does not respond to us, never give up hope. That let it even end, the situation end, there's something new and something beautiful that begins when we rely and ask for God's presence in it. Another element I could reflect with you, my dear sisters and brothers, is this whole action of Jesus to get people involved. Jesus did many miracles on his own, either to heal the blind man last Sunday, or to feed the hungry, or you had the miracle at Cana. Many things he did on his own, yet sometimes he asked for people to help him. And the first element we see in today's gospel, he asked people to roll away this stone. He could have simply said the stone, please move out. It could have moved. But he asked people to get involved. He asked them to push the stone. And secondly, when Lazarus comes out, he could have simply brought Lazarus out without the cloth. But there you have this man Lazarus coming with all the cloth wrapped around him. Jesus says, untie him, meaning to say, undo the cloth. In that significant way, my dear sisters and brothers, he also invites us that if there's any stone that is blocking the presence of God in your life, remove it. There could be some stone of hard-heartedness, blocks in the mind, sinfulness. He's asking us, roll away that stone. The stone which is of pleasure, the stone that keeps you away from God, no prayer in your life, no forgiveness in your life. He's saying, roll away that stone. And maybe he's asking you to roll away the stone of others, in your own family, your friends. Do you see something is wrong in their life? He's asking you to roll away the stone. And secondly, he's also maybe asking us to untie those cloths which bind us. Cloth that does not free us. Cloth that does not give us freedom from death and keeps us in the bondage of death. As we reflect on the various elements of this beautiful narration of St. John's Gospel on this last Sunday before Holy Week, the Lord invites us into a deeper experience of His life, His suffering, His death. He invites us to journey with Him. He invites us to remove the stones that block our relationship with Him. He invites us to participate in the lives of others, to free them from whatever that binds them. The Lord, very beautifully, we are told, weeps for His friend. A very powerful emotion. The same Lord probably is weeping when we don't want to change, when we hold on to a hard-heartedness, when we do not want to forgive, when we do not want to grow in holiness. Probably the Lord weeps for us. Let us enter this mystery of Christ's suffering so that truly we may experience the risen Lord as in the Gospel of today.